Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Truth. And this is Tito. I guess you're going to be my co-host this week. Whatever. Alright, so this week I've got 4 big reviews coming to you, all in the theater, surprisingly. The first one is the latest in the Rocky series. I guess you could say it's a spin-off, but I guess it's in the series. The film Creed, as well as the newest Disney Pixar film to hit theaters, The Good Dinosaur, and the It's Alive! Victor Frankenstein. Yeah. And this week's random review is also going to double up as a review that came back into theaters for a special limited engagement, Roman Holiday. So, let's kick off the show. You know what we gotta say. Put 'em up, put 'em up. Let's check out the latest boxing drama, Creed. Adonis Johnson, a young boy who's in and out of the group homes and juvenile hall, is taken in by the widow of famed boxer Apollo Creed. She tells him that his mother had an affair with Apollo and Adonis is his son. In present day, Adonis gets the itch to become a boxer and quits a high-profile job to begin training for the big time. He moves to Philadelphia to seek help from retired champ Rocky Balboa, who is his father's former foe turned friend. By the way, Philly represent. After thinking on it, Rocky decides to help Adonis train for a huge fight. So what did I think of Creed? I thought it's an excellent sports drama. I'm not a huge fan of boxing, but I do enjoy boxing movies because of the stories being told. First off, the film does have some exciting, intense boxing matches. There's also some great training and workout scenes. The film really does get quite emotional as we see all of Johnson's pent-up energy from over the years and trying to make a name for himself without using his father's name. While coaching, Rocky ends up fighting his own personal battle and having to make some tough calls. Both characters are struggling with issues from the past and the present. There's a great strong message of friendship and family throughout as well. Thankfully, there is just the right amount of humor mixed in to balance out all of the heavy elements. There's also a romantic subplot that fits in great, mainly because of the chemistry between the actors. Michael B. Jordan stars as Adonis Jordan, Apollo Creed's son, who wants to prove he can become a boxer as well, and Sylvester Stallone in one of his finest performances, reprising his role as Rocky Balboa, the now aging boxer who is training Adonis for his first few major fights. Also in the cast, Tessa Thompson as Bianca, Adonis' neighbor turned girlfriend dealing with a progressive hearing disorder and is the singer for a group. Felicia Rashad as Mary Ann Creed, Apollo's widow who adopts Adonis and is not happy about him following in his father's footsteps. Anthony Bellew as Pretty Ricky Conlon. Pretty Ricky! Adonis' opponent who is pound for pound the best in the world. And Graham McTavish as Tommy Holiday, Conlon's trainer. If you're a fan of the Rocky series, you will not be disappointed with the wonderful film that is Creed. I'm going to give it the rating of A-List approved. That's right, it gets the A-List seal of approval. Alright, now we're going to look at the second Disney Pixar movie to come out this year. That's unheard of, but it did. Here's my review of The Good Dinosaur. In an alternate timeline where dinosaurs weren't affected by the asteroid, a young Apatosaurus named Arlo wants to make his mark, quote-unquote, much like his brother and sister already have, but is having some trouble as he's easily frightened and meek. His father tries to break his son of his fears and tells him to protect their crops from a critter who's been eating them. Once Arlo comes face to face with the critter, who ends up being a young caveman, he can't bear to kill him, so he gets away. After a tragedy, Arlo blames the caveman and chases him, which ends up in them both getting lost, and they must work together if they want to get back home. So what did I think of The Good Dinosaur? I thought it's a commendable animated film. It's not one of my favorite Pixar movies, but there is a lot to like here. The animation of the characters and the scenery is stunning, proving why they are the best in the biz. There is a lot of heart in the film, with the dinosaur trying to make his way home to his family. We can guess Arlo and the caveman, whose name is Spot, or Cave Boy, I suppose, will become friends along their journey, and they actually do become a fun pairing. A scene between the two where they find out about each other's lives is very touching and comes back toward the end of the film to create a tear or two. Or 18. There are a few humorous moments, but nothing that's really flat out funny. Along the way, the duo run into a Styracosaurus with many animal friends, run from a group of pterodactyls who want Spot for lunch, and battle some velociraptors. Not Blue or Echo or whoever. I did find a few things odd here and there, including the family of T-Rex Arlo and Spot befriend, who are looking for their herd of longhorns that ran away and sit around a campfire, making it feel like a western. Okay then. There's also a point where Arlo and Spot eat some fruit and start to hallucinate, which kind of surprised me. I think that might be the first time in a Pixar movie anyone got high. But the kids thought it was funny, so okay. The voice cast does do nice work and includes Raymond Ochoa as Arlo, the youngest of his family trying to find his way back home, Jack Bright as Spot, the young cave boy who Arlo ends up being friends with, Jeffrey Wright and Frances McDormand as Arlo's parents, and Sam Elliott as Buck, a Tyrannosaurus who helps Arlo and Spot along the way. The Good Dinosaur is certainly a good film, but I feel there could have been something great in there. I'm going to give it the rating of... do it. And now, finally, for this week's new releases, let's just find out how alive, or DOA, this movie is. Here's my review of Victor Frankenstein. A young hunchback man who studies all kinds of sciences, travels with the circus, and works as a clown is rescued by a scientist after he sees the young man is brilliant. The scientist, named Victor Frankenstein, of course, could have guessed that one, cures the hunchback's hump and turns him into a regular-looking guy and tells him to take the name Igor, his roommate's name, who doesn't come around much because he's a morphine addict. Frankenstein and Igor bring back to life a chimpanzee and gain a benefactor to bring something even bigger back to life. A human man. So what did I think of Victor Frankenstein? I thought it's a dreadful horror drama. This is a movie that really doesn't know what it wants to be. It's certainly not funny enough for its comedic tone. There's absolutely nothing scary about it to be considered a horror, so I guess we'll have to settle on drama. Anyone looking forward to seeing the monster should stop right now and look into one of the many other Frankenstein films, as he's only in the last 5 minutes of the film and only does one thing of note. Wow! Telling the point of the story from Igor's point of view is an interesting idea, but I felt things deviate way too far from the source material. This is nothing like Mary Shelley's novel or the famous Boris Karloff film. Instead, this feels more like an episode of Downton Abbey than a Frankenstein movie. The message of the man playing God is here, but there are far too many conversations about it and other things that take things to the side of boring. 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 All the arguments, science mumbo-jumbo terms, hubbub with the police, and even deaths all amount to nothing. The special effects are even a letdown. There's also a lame romantic subplot that makes Victor and Igor look like they had better chemistry as a couple. Most of the performances are at least okay, with James McAvoy as Victor Frankenstein, the scientist looking to make a name for himself and bring to life a creation, Daniel Radcliffe as Igor, the young circus freak turned partner with Victor who begins to question what he's doing, Jessica Brown Finley as Lorelei, Igor's only friend from the circus who he rescues, and they begin to have feelings for each other, Andrew Scott as Roderick Turpin, an inspector who's obsessed with finding out what Frankenstein is up to because of his religious beliefs. And Freddie Fox Finnegan. Oh, no, Freddie Fox as Finnegan. That would have been a cool name, Freddie Fox Finnegan. Anyway, he plays a Nazi-looking member of one of the richest families in England who greenlights Victor's experiment. Victor Frankenstein could have been an interesting take on a classic, but needed much more time in the lab. I'm going to give it the rating of... Hey, Victor Frankenstein, I got 2 words for you, and it's alive. It's suck it. Alright, and finally, to wrap up the show this week, this is an oldie but a goodie. This is a classic movie that came back for its re-release. It's playing this weekend, as well as, I think, Tuesday, but look before you go, obviously. It's Audrey Hepburn in her debut role. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Roman Holiday. A princess of an unspecified country is on a tour of European countries, where she meets and talks to important figures. She becomes tired of her hectic schedule in Rome, resulting in her throwing a fit and having to be sedated by a doctor. I want to be sedated! The princess sneaks out into the city, where she falls asleep on a park bench and is discovered by an American reporter who doesn't recognize her. He ends up taking her back to his apartment, where she can spend the night. Oh yeah. Soon he discovers her true identity and places a wager with the editor of the paper he can get an exclusive interview with the princess. However, the two end up becoming pretty close. So what did I think of Roman Holiday? I thought it's a classic romantic comedy. Over the years, this is a film that inspired many movies in this genre. It's fun to see the two characters sightseeing, dancing at a party on a boat, and riding on a scooter, which has become pretty much a now famous scene, doing things the princess has always wanted to do her entire life. The two also lie to each other about who they truly are. She says she's a student, and he says he's a fertilizer salesman, aka he's full of crap. Anyway, there aren't any hot and heavy shower scenes like The Longest Ride or anything we're used to today, but more of a sweet happenstance romance, which is good for, sometimes. We don't need a porno for every romantic movie out there. There are a few funny moments as well, nothing that will have you rolling in the aisles, but are chuckle-worthy at best. The cast includes Gregory Peck as Joe Bradley, the reporter trying to win a bet and get the story of a lifetime, but then ends up having feelings for the princess. Audrey Hepburn in her debut role as Princess Anne, the royal who runs away from her problems, literally, and gets to do things she's never been able to. And Eddie Albert as Irving Radovic, Joe's friend and a photographer who wants to follow them around and get pictures for the article. If you're a fan of rom-coms, it's definitely worth watching Roman Holiday, which is considered one of the best of all time. I'm going to give it the rating of A-list approved. That's right, it gets the A-list. Seal of approval. Alright, well that's all the time for this week. I'll be back next week with my review of Krampus. I am so excited for that. And I think that's all that comes out next week. So I'm going to have something else up my sleeve. There's going to be a random review. I think I may review Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. So be sure to come back for that. Yeah, we're going to start some holiday reviews for the A-list. And soon I'm going to make an announcement. So come back for that. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside515. You can like the Facebook page, facebook.com/westtroupealist. Follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram @WesAlist. And of course, we are only a little more than a month away from the release of the 2015 Movie Review Yearbook. It's going to have over 150 reviews. It's only going to be $10 plus shipping. Contact me now if you're interested, everybody, because pre-orders start soon. So, until next time, Troop out. Tito out.